Everybody, I'm Jamie from the Haliburton County Public Library and welcome to another Thursday Maker Break. Well folks, it looks like we're finally starting to see some less severe weather out here. The sun's out, it's warmer, and so this week I thought perhaps maybe I would show you guys how to start some seedlings so that you can have a spectacular summer garden when the time comes. So, our makerspace is a little different this time. We're going to be outside, but let's head on over and let's get started. All right, everybody. So here we are, and I just wanted to show you guys the sort of kind of materials you're going to need to start your seedlings. Now, you do have to remember that this is what I'm going to use. When it comes to seed starting, it's pretty wide open. You can use whatever it is you sort of have kicking around. But in this case, the things you're going to make sure you want are something to put your seeds in. So I've got some, as you can see, I've used these a few years in a row here. I've just got some little pots that I saved from whenever I purchase something from a greenhouse. I will save the pot. Seed starting is great for recycling. If you don't have those available, you can raid your recycling bin. You can use anything that's in there to start them up. You can use egg cartons, which are also a great thing, the little couplets from eggs. These guys here, which you can purchase pretty much anywhere right now. Hardware stores have them. Also, you want to get a hold of one of these large black trays or something similar. An old mat will work. You can even use old plates, something to put underneath your seedlings once they're planted, because seedlings water best from the bottom up as opposed from the top down. You're going to want optionally a pair of gardening gloves. You're going to want something to label your seeds, and I always use an old spoon just for digging. So those are the basic materials, or most of them. And also, of course, you are going to want something to plant your seedlings in. In my case, I just picked up a bag of potting soil, urban vegetable potting soil from the hardware store. Again, seeds are usually not terribly fussy, so any sort of soil or dirt that you have kicking around, as long as it is moist and it has to be warm, so nothing frozen or cold, your seeds will not like that, you can pretty much use that. Also, of course, let's not forget the seeds. So I've got quite a collection here, and I will go into a little more about the seeds here in a minute. So I'll meet you back up in a moment. Alright, so it's about mid-March, and the seeds that you want to start at this particular point in time are, well, if you look at the packets for one, most of them will tell you straight up that you have to start them early. So you're looking to start most of these seeds anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks before the seedlings will actually go into the ground. And there are certain seeds that you can start early and certain seeds that you don't need to start early. So the ones we're going to start today, the ones that it's recommended to start a little earlier, are tomatoes, peppers, any kind of brassica type seeds, so cauliflower, broccoli, cabbage, or the like. And optionally, now you can put pumpkin and squash seeds directly into the ground, but because our growing season is so short, I like to start them a little bit earlier. Now that being said, when you do start a pumpkin or a squash seed, or a melon seed for that matter, earlier, you want to start it in something that can be transplanted directly into the ground, because the roots of these particular seedlings do not like to be disturbed, so they're not happy when you pull them out of a pot and put them in the ground in the spring when the actual ground is thawed. So you want to plant them in something like these, or in the coconut fiber pots that you can purchase as well at the stores, or even an egg carton will work because it will biodegrade when you plant it in the ground. So I'm going to be using these guys for my squash seeds here, and probably a melon seed as well. And yeah, any other types like your peas, your beans, all that sort of stuff, is going to go directly into the ground in the spring, so you don't have to worry about starting that early. So this is what we're going to be starting early today, and let's get dirty. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to label my pot, because that is very important. Once you get all of your dirt into your pots, you get your seeds planted, and if you haven't labeled what they are, they all look exactly the same. So you're not going to know what's coming up until everything's grown and is about this high, which can be a little bit frustrating, especially if things don't come up and you want to replant. So that's what we're going to do. I'm just going to quickly label my pots. And there we go, pots all labeled. Now let's fill them with dirt. All right, so now we're all ready to plant. Okay, so the depth that you plant your seeds at is usually on the back of the seed packet that you've purchased. If you don't have a seed packet, if you're planting heirloom seeds or some such, you can usually guesstimate how deep that you're going to be planting your seeds by the size of the seeds themselves. Seeds that are smaller, really tiny seeds like pepper seeds or tomato seeds or broccoli seeds, you want to plant closer to the surface of the soil. For example, usually average at about 1/4 inch or about 6 centimeters from the surface of the soil. Anything that's a little larger than that, you want to plant a little bit deeper. So this seed packet here says that we are supposed to be planting this at about 6 millimeters or about 1/4 inch deep. So that's what we're going to do for our tomato seeds here. Now, when you plant your seeds, I'm using these little 4-inch pots, as we've seen. If you're using anything smaller, you maybe want to go with just 1 or 2 seeds per space. I am going to be making 2 little holes here, and I'm going to be putting 2 seeds in each hole. And then when the seeds actually sprout, you want to choose which seed of the 4, if they all sprout, you want to choose which seed of the 4 is the strongest, and you want to pinch the other 2 off. So you only want 1 strong seed per pot, and that's how you get a stronger plant. So I'm just going to, it's kind of hard to see here, but I've got about 1 inch or so in between here, and I'm just going to put 2. There's 1, and there's 2 in each of the holes. There's 1, and there's 2. And now we're just going to tap that soil over top again. It doesn't have to be exact, but we're very close to the surface here because that's all we need to do. Just like that. And then we want to put just a few drops of water on the top, enough that basically that the soil will not blow or dust away. I'm using the spoon here just because they are planted very close to the surface, and if you pour something heavy on there, you're just going to wash them right out of the dirt, and that's not what you want. There we go, just like that. And when you have all of your seedlings planted in your little pots, all the different ones you want, whether it's sandwich or pepper or whatever you're planting, your start earlies, you want to put them into your black plastic tray here, and then we'll give them a really good watering. So stay tuned. All right, and if, like me, you are also planning on starting some of your melons or your squash seeds a little early, now do remember, you can totally put these directly into the ground. They will work fine that way as well. However, because our season's usually a little shorter than a lot of other places, I like to start my melons and my squash a little bit early. So I like to use, you can use these little peat pucks, which you can get from, again, from Home Hardware, from a bunch of different gardening stores. And they're basically pressed peat moss. So you just want to moisten this so it will expand. And then you want to plant your seeds directly into the little peat moss pocket. So I will just pour some water on here. Okay, so you can see our little peat pellet here has expanded quite significantly in comparison to the dry pellet, and it's nice and moist, and you can see the little pocket in the top here. So let me just give him a quick tap off and get rid of the rest of the water here. Put him back. You just want to take your watermelon or your cantaloupe or whatever squash seed that you're planting, and you want to tuck it right into the top of the pocket there, just like that. And then we want to put this guy back in the container that he came in. Or if he didn't come in a container, you just want to put him on a tray or something similar like this that you can keep well watered. And that's essentially all you want to do when you want to plant those types of seeds. Now, I will tell you, this type of thing is great for starting your seed. But when he gets a little bit bigger and he starts growing out the top here, you're going to want to probably transplant this into another larger pot, one of the 4-inch pots. Although when I say transplant, you got to try and make sure that you get him before he has too many roots on the bottom, because these types of seeds, like I said before, do not like having their roots disturbed. So you just want to put this guy into one of the biodegradable pots that you can get, or something similar, that you're not going to have to pull the dirt out of the pot in order to transplant it, because otherwise they will get stunted and they won't get any bigger when you put them in your garden. So when he sprouts, gets a little bit bigger out of this peat pocket, we'll put him in a container, one of the either paper based or the coconut fiber based that we can plant directly into the ground. We'll transplant him into there, and then when the time comes to actually put him in the ground, we put the whole pot in the ground. We don't disturb his roots. And now that we have all of our seeds planted and happy, we want to make sure they're in the waterproof tray here, and we want to just give them some water. And with seedlings like this, you always want to water from the bottom. So you want to put your water in. The bottom of the tray and let the seedlings absorb it. Just like that. And now our seedlings here are all planted and watered. What we want to do is we want to cover them up with either the greenhouse top that comes with the container. Now in my case, these containers have been used a few years in a row, so sadly the greenhouse top that came with them is no longer. But what I tend to do is I use a recycling bag, and I actually just cover the top of them that way, like that. And I just want to move these inside to a nice sunny location or under a grow light if you happen to have one of those. And then all we have to do is wait. And in about usually 10 to 14 days, you'll start seeing those little sprouts. And those little sprouts to me are the very, very first indications of a great spring. that's all for me today, folks. Thanks very much for getting dirty with me, and I hope I will see you all again next Thursday. Enjoy this beautiful weather. Bye!